So we pick up our story of David once again. Now, since the bit that we heard last week, a few things have happened. What we heard last week was about rape and murder. Since then, there's been more rape and murder and court intrigue. And where the story picks up today, what's been going on is that David's son Absalom, who, like David when he was young, is handsome and charismatic, and he has been turning the hearts of the people to him. Now he's decided it's time he can depose his father David, take over the throne. David is driven out of Jerusalem. He's hiding out in the wilderness with his loyal followers. But they're a tough bunch, and they decide it's time for them to make the move. They attack Absalom's army, and they rout it. Now, David's concern is that his son Absalom is not harmed, but his general Joab could care less. Poor Absalom is caught, as we just heard, his hair gets caught in a tree. In the Hebrew, he hangs from the heart of the tree. And hanging there, the general finds him. We're giving up on that. If you can't hear me, do this, okay? So far, so good. The general finds him hanging from the heart of the tree, as it says. And then this bit from the story that we don't get in today's scripture is he pierces his heart with arrows. And then, as we heard, the lackeys gather around with their spears and finish him off. Hey, yeah, ooh. So the drama continues. And David, of course, wants to grieve for his son, but there's no time for grieving here. There's no time for real feeling. The issue here is not about feeling, it's about power. It's about getting power and keeping power, getting it back and keeping it. The story has to continue with the next intrigue and drama. Now, if this sounds like maybe the latest installment in some kind of HBO series, it is, really. It is. These old Bible stories, they're like Shakespeare. Once you get used to the strange language and the weird costumes, you find that you're caught up in this drama that is our world, that reflects our life. Now, maybe you haven't been caught up in court intrigues and murder, I hope. But you know this story. You know what's going on here. My daughter is 24, Rachel. She lives in New York City, so we communicate often by text. That's what you do when you're 24, okay? So I texted her a picture of Leaf going off to summer camp in the morning. And she texted back something like, "Oh, camp, sweet." So I texted back, "Hey, next time you get a week off, we'll sign you up for camp." And she texted right back, "No way." I couldn't handle the lunch politics. Right? You know who she's talking about, right? Now here's one of those girls who just never knew how to be glamorous or popular. So she'd take the little lunch that Mommy and Daddy made and sit at the table, and there's 3 girls with mean eyes that say, "You can't sit here." The lunch politics. It's true for all of us everywhere. It's true at workplaces. It's often true in church, I'm sorry to say. It's true in family dynamics. It's true in assisted living situations. You know who has what corner of power and what they're going to do to keep it and the pain that's going to cause. And you know the temptation, if the tables turn, to be the one who gets to say, "You don't get to sit at my table." You know all that. And then we get these words from Ephesians, these beautiful words. Give up all of this falsehood. Give up wrangling. Tell the truth to one another. Be kind to one another. These words are like water in a dry place, like a balm for that wound. They remind me of The Onion. You familiar with The Onion, the satirical newspaper? To explain, for those of you who grew up reading Mad magazine, and you fancy that maybe you have actually grown up now, you might appreciate The Onion. So The Onion published this book called The Book of Known Knowledge. It's an encyclopedia of everything you need to know. So I looked up Jesus, and this is what it says. Jesus of Nazareth, Son of God, who repeatedly disappointed his Father, because the heavenly Lord and Creator of all things felt that his mortal offspring, that's Jesus, his mortal offspring's teachings of peace, love, and forgiveness were naive and idealistic and failed to take into account how the world actually works. Isn't that great? It's true, right? I mean, what's satire? Satire is a reflection of the truth. This peace and love and forgiveness. It sounds wonderful. As soon as you start talking about it, everyone says it sounds wonderful. I'll tell you, whenever I start preaching about it, everyone's like, oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you believe in that, David. That's a great kumbaya moment. You know, someday I hope your feet are on the ground and you see how the world really works. I want to tell you something, though. We don't get off the hook that easily. Because here's a fact. Everything we do has consequences. Everything we do has consequences. You can't get out of that. Just like in the story of David, a lie destroys, even the little ones. Neglected love turns to grief, even the little ones. Unresolved conflict comes back at you, even the little ones. Everything we do has a consequence. Fortunately, the same is true about positive things. Just making an effort at forgiveness, it makes a difference. We can't help but be agents of change, for better or worse. Now, all these beautiful words from Ephesians, from the mouth of Jesus, they're just words until we become them. Okay? Jesus says, I am the bread from heaven, life of the world. And the bread that I give is my flesh. And our first response might be, ick, what's that supposed to be about? What Jesus is saying is, I have become what I say, what I'm talking about. And I give my whole self, my essence, to you for the life of the world. For the life of the world. Don't just nibble on a wafer and sip a little wine when you can become the flesh and blood. Become the life that you believe in for the life of the world. Amen.